the It Takes Grit podcast version 2.0. My name is Rebecca Louise. I am your host. If you haven't watched or listened to our very first version, the It Takes Grit version 1.0, I highly recommend. There are some incredible interviews, some great solo podcasts as well that I know that you are going to love and enjoy. But today, I'm going to give you 5 tips, and I'm sure that one of them is going to make a difference in your life today. So if you are listening or watching and you're at home and you're somewhere where you're not driving, I highly recommend that you grab a notebook and pen and you make notes on these podcasts or anything that you listen to, right? Because information goes in, but it's what we write down that actually stays in our brain and can change our mindset. So a couple of things on how to avoid burnout. And first of all, like, where does burnout even come from? It comes from this like feeling of being overwhelmed, right? And it's interesting, the word overwhelmed, because I feel like when we're overwhelmed, we can change that to being more grateful about that word, that we've just got more stuff going on than maybe we would like. But that's amazing. Right? It's amazing sometimes that we've got so many things. Lots of you have got kids, you've got jobs, you've got spouses, you've got activities, you've got hobbies. But it's like if I was going to ask you to change your life for somebody else's, nobody would say yes, because you would lose your friends, you would lose your kids, you'd lose your spouse, and you'd lose your family. And so when we talk about burnout, it's instead of getting anxious about it and being like, oh, I'm never going to be able to reach my dreams, I'm never going to be able to reach my goals. It's not that. It's just recognizing that if your energy is low, it's really hard to be your best version of yourself, right? If your energy is low, you don't really like stick to making decisions. So if you're facing burnout, you need to take some action. You need to do something, because the hallucination that doing it over and over and over again is all of a sudden just going to get better by no change, it's not going to make a difference, right? As we know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So firstly, you know your body better than anybody else. Now, this episode is not a cop-out, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that work really hard. But there's also a lot of people out there who are lazy and don't work hard, and they use the fact of, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overworked, I'm burnt out, I don't feel like doing this today. That is being lazy. There's a difference between burnout, because you've been working really hard, and just using burnout as an excuse. So you first of all got to recognize, like, are you actually putting in the effort? Are you actually doing the numbers? Are you actually doing the work? Or are you just actually not doing the work, and that's why you're feeling even more burned out, because you're not getting the results that you want? You know, I feel like sometimes, even if it comes to a workout, you know, someone's not been doing a workout for the last 3 weeks, and then they're annoyed because they're not getting results, and then they're saying, oh, well, like, I'm just burned out. No. Or somebody building the business and they're like, oh yeah, no, like I spoke to like 1 or 2 people and they're not getting things kind of moving and going. And so they feel burned out because nothing's happened. But it's not because, it's not because they've been working so hard that they're burned out. They're just like having no confidence, and that's why they're feeling burned out. So you need to first of all establish, like, am I feeling burned out because I've been busting my butt and working so hard and I feel like I'm on this hamster wheel? Or am I burned out because, like, I haven't really done much, I kind of like feel like I've lost my motivation and I'm just kind of like sitting around? There's kind of like 2 different burnouts there, right? So first of all, we got to establish who you are and how we change that. But if you've really been working so hard and you've been busting your butt and you got loads of things going on, the first thing to do to avoid burnout is you've got to listen to your body. You know your body better than anybody. And you also know if you're lying about how you're feeling too, right? So listen to your body. Your body can tell you if you need more sleep. And there's going to be days where you're like, oh, like today, like I have done a photo shoot, I filmed workouts, I'm filming podcasts, I'm getting it all done, right? I'm going to need a little bit more rest this evening. That's no problem. But I'm going to listen to my body. If, I've been sick or I feel like under the weather, I'm going to move my body a little bit, but I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to expect my body to be able to lift weights, because if I go back to exercise too quickly, too heavy, I'm going to put myself in a worse state. So you do know your own body, and you just have to be honest with how you are feeling, right? So you've got to, first of all, recognize that, right? We've got to work smarter, not harder. And that comes from developing more skills. But the next thing to avoid burnout is cutting out negativity. Negative self-talk, negative people, toxicity. Because when you are feeling so drained from negativity, it's going to push you to burnout. Because when you have a whole bunch of cheerleaders around you and you're just like going and going and going, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not even burned out. I'm just like fired up. But maybe when you're like excited to work out or you're excited to launch a business, and then you're getting people saying, oh, why are you doing that? Or that's silly, or you're never going to get results. How do you feel? You literally feel burned out before you've even started because you've got so much negativity. I remember when I started network marketing in 2013, and people ask me like, well, what negativity did you get? I was like, well, I don't even remember hearing it. It didn't affect me because my ears weren't open to it. I was like, no, I can see what my mentors created. I want the life that they want. I'm going to listen to them. And that's who the person was who told me, don't take advice from someone you wouldn't trade places with. That line stuck in my head so much that I was so focused on what they were teaching me rather than any of this negativity. I just didn't hear it. And I think sometimes we go through different challenges in life and we allow negativity to come in, but you can mute it. You can turn off comments. You can turn off DMs. You can do all of that stuff to protect yourself from burning out from negativity. I look at some people online and, different celebrities, and I'm like, sports stars, and the negative comments that they get, it's so sad. It's so sad to see the world that we've come to, that people behind a screen feel the need to be able to tell a tennis player if they lost a match that they suck. I'm like, coming from somebody who couldn't even return one of their serves. I mean, it's ridiculous. Saying tough about, a celebrity or somebody, I can't even fathom it. You couldn't pay me $1 million to write a negative comment, to say something negative to someone, or to send them a DM about anything. I don't know what they're going through. I don't know what the situation is, but you have an ego to think that you do. So I think it's so important, and that's what I'm really teaching our community is, hey, if you see something that you don't like or someone that you don't like, shut up. Don't worry about it. Focus on you. And the same for everybody else. If you're someone who's like, oh, I felt like I had to say something. No, you didn't. That's you. You are either one of two people. You're either somebody who lifts people up, or you're somebody that drags people down. That's it. There's two types of people in the world. People that lift people up and people that drag people down. If you're someone that drags people down, you are never going to make it. You are always going to feel less than because you're actually just insecure. And it's the same if you're talking to yourself negatively. If you comment saying, oh, well, I'd love to do this workout, but I just can't because, I've got to go to my sister's dog's auntie's house. I'm like, oh my gosh, like some of these comments that I see, I'm like, get over yourself. If something negative comes out of your mouth, don't type it. Don't say it to yourself. Change the language, because your language becomes your experience. If you say, I can't do this workout, it was too hard, or it's too much to eat healthy, or you know what, I can't get out of this situation, that's going to become your reality. So it really is down to you to cut out the negativity, because that's going to help you avoiding the burnout. Right, number 3, you got to incorporate the mindset work, right? If you fill your mind up with love, with positivity, with great thinking, the power of the positive thinking is so key to you not feeling less than. Because if you don't feel great about what you're doing, if you don't feel great about you, if you're losing confidence, you just feel burned out. You just feel tired. But if you are hyping yourself up because you are listening to great motivation, you're listening to this podcast, you're surrounded by amazing people, and you're constantly doing the work on yourself, you're going to be focused on flooding positivity and great things into your body and into your mind. And that's what's going to help you avoid the burnout. All right, number 4, nutrition. If you are eating crap, you are going to burn out so fast. If you are feeding your body terrible energy drinks, if you are drinking sodas, if you are drinking heavy food, if you're drinking fast food, eating fast food, if you're eating sweets and chocolate and all of this stuff, it's not satisfying you. It's not. It's doing it for maybe like 5 seconds. But what is important to be able to avoid burnout is fuel. Fuel to your body. Think about it. Think about a Ferrari or Rolls-Royce Phantom or one of the Formula One cars. I can't believe that they cost like $20 million. That's insane. But what are they putting in the gas tank? They are not putting the cheap stuff. No, they're putting the best gasoline possible. Why? Because they want that car to go as fast as possible. And they want it to be as efficient as possible. And they want it to perform as well as possible. What you are putting into your body is going to dictate how you perform. If you put crap food into your body, you will perform terribly. And therefore, you're going to burn out quicker. Think about it with a car. You put terrible gas in a Formula One car, what is going to happen halfway around the track? It's going to burn out, just like you. So if you're not fueling your body with great supplements and nutrition and fluids and water and great things, or you're making sure you're cutting out alcohol, oh my gosh, then you're going to be fueling. And so even on those days that feel a little bit more challenging, at least you're fueling your body the right nutrition. At least you did your mindset podcast in the morning. At least you're cutting out the negativity. Because you can see how things stack on the other way. If you're not eating well, you're around toxic people, you're not doing personal development every day by listening to a growth audio, you are listening to toxic people, can you see how quickly you're going to burn out? But then on the other side, if you listen to your body, you look after your body, you exercise, you move, you have great nutrition, you incorporate mindset work, you can see how two people going for the same goal, one of them is going to burn out and the other one is not. And then finally, you've got to put yourself first. You have to make yourself number one. You know, and especially like females, we don't typically put ourselves first, right? And then we have a little bit of resentment about how we're doing everything and you're looking after the kids and the husband and everybody else in the family. But it's just like when an airplane goes down. What do they say with your oxygen? You got to put your mask on first. Then you can help other people. Because if you are showing up like a 5 out of 10, because you haven't looked after yourself, you haven't done your workout, you haven't made your shake in the morning, you haven't listened to your personal development, what use are you for the rest of the people that are around you? You're going to be a lesser version of yourself. So the hallucination is like, oh, you know what? I'll look after myself last. I'll make sure everybody else is ready first. But if you put yourself first, you'll actually be able to put yourself in a much better position to look after everybody else at a much higher level. Your standards will raise. Because if you don't put yourself first, you're going to get more frustrated, you're going to get more irritated, and it's going to make a bigger ripple effect on where you're trying to get to. And you're going to burn out. I mean, that's inevitable. If you don't look after yourself, if you don't look after your health, if you don't look after your movement, you will burn out. Even if you have all these other things that's going on, yes, if you're already making excuses, well, you don't understand, Rebecca, or I've got kids and we have this and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. If you put yourself first and you look after you, all of those things that you get to do with your family and for your work are going to be much better. And you just have to make a decision. If you don't want to burn out, you have to put yourself first. If you want to burn out, great. Don't put yourself first. But you have to make a conscious decision that you actually want to change, because the definition of insanity is what? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So there are my 5 tips to help with burnout. I know that there is a woman in your life right now that needs to hear this video. You're like, I have a friend and she always just looks like she is a hot mess and running all over the place, right? Send that to somebody. Don't tell them that they're a hot mess, right? Just be like, hey, I listened to this podcast and I'm think it would be great for you because you never put yourself first. And I want to make sure that you have great energy and that you don't burn out because I love and I care about you. So share this with somebody today that you know will benefit. And of course, go follow us on the It Takes Grit podcast Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Rebecca Louise. You can also find me on Instagram at Rebecca Louise Fitness. All right, great job for showing up today. I'll see you on our next episode.